I don't mind a CBDC as an additional or an optimized or an enhanced way of communicating between banks. So in other words, the consumer never sees it. They don't care. Maybe you use it as a store of value indicator for the banks, because right now that's done by a very tedious legacy system in most cases. So maybe you use that as to indicate here's how much fiat asset the bank holds on hand. I'd be cool with that. Or maybe you use it to indicate how much fiat asset is allocated to different banks so you can keep better track of it. Because one thing right now, as the Federal Reserve is printing and printing, you have to keep track of bank inventory, you have to keep track of issuance, you have to keep track of what's in the ATMs, you got to keep track of all these different elements. And then don't talk about petty cash and all these other pieces. You have to keep track of all this data, and it's a pain for these accounting firms. So maybe CBDCs can be used in some way to facilitate that process of tracking assets where they would be, even though it's a fiat-based situation. I'd be okay with that. It feels like some people in government are just wanting CBDC so they can go all in and, again, lock down your assets. Because as I noticed, the side that's really supportive of going all in on CBDC, it's the Democrat side. The Republican side is completely against it. Do you know why? Because the Republican side understands greed is how they're going to get more tax money out of people. I'm being honest, that's what it is. And if you go CBDC, you're doing the opposite. You're saying you want control over who has how much wealth. You want to be able to dictate how much wealth that a certain person or a segment of people can have. That should frighten people, but that's really what they want to do. They guise it as anti-innovation. It's not anti-innovation. I don't think anybody's against having it as an option, and I don't think anybody's against using it at the bank level. I do think that fiat at the end of the day should remain in our society as what it is. And if we're going to do this kind of a technology approach, we should use it to optimize the way we use fiat. And I still think long term, this is going to cause, I don't want to say a civil war because that's extreme, but I do think that it's going to cause kind of a battle when we get down to the presidential elections. And it'll be interesting to see what that turns out being. All I can say for everybody out there, I have my stance, and I'm a technologist, right? I work in technology for a living. So it's not like I'm anti-technology. I'm not. I work in technology for a living. That's why I'm so opposed to having technology start taking over, because that's not what it's for. Technology is to serve people. People should be in constant control. That control is being taken away. Time and time again, we see this. And I don't want to see that. And I do think time is going to tell whether I'm right or wrong about the approach, whether the approach is appropriate. This bill, if it happens to go forward and we can lock this down and we can get back to some reality, and how about fix our existing economy? That'd be nice. Before we start talking about trying to change the way the currency works and locking stuff away. And then the presidential election is going to tell us a lot too. Just for a side note, we don't really have a candidate that's full cryptocurrency supportive. We have candidates that support Bitcoin. We don't really have any candidates that support full cryptocurrency. Do you know why that is? The reason is because they don't fully understand it. They don't fully understand the diversity or the scale with respect to cryptocurrency in all of its forms. They only understand Bitcoin because of what they heard. That's not a bad thing, but it's something to be mindful of when you choose which candidate you're going to support.